culture. Um, this comes from out of Abkarian and Klotz, the Literature of the Human Experience, page 524. They define culture as, here it comes, common language, behavioral rules, traditions, skills, mores, religion, and art that define the civilization of a group of people bound together by ship and geography. Now, culture is a fairly, like I mentioned, broad term, and it can encompass a large area. We have national culture, and then we have regional culture. For instance, here in Idaho, we have Idaho culture, but it's also influenced by the Mormon corridor from Salt Lake, extending outward up into eastern Idaho, Wyoming, and around that area. So we have all these different things that influence our regional culture. And then within that regional culture, we have community cultures. Within community cultures, we have family cultures. And we are all influenced by these things. The way that we perceive and act within the world, the way that we behave, the things that we say, they're influenced by the cultures that are around us and that we are a part of, because we're all part of cultures, whether we have thought about it or not, and various cultures, and they influence us all in different ways. Now, I just wanted to give you to kind of think a way to think about culture, kind of based on four levels, four manifestations of culture, that it comes to us through symbols, through heroes, through rituals and values, and practices that span all of these things, tie them together. But anyway, starting at the outer level of culture, we have symbols. Symbols are things like words and gestures, pictures, objects that have a particular meaning within the culture. For instance, we have this word here, symbols is a symbol. It's in the English language. Other cultures have different languages. They may not know what this word in particular is, although they will understand what symbols perhaps are. This S is a symbol, the Y is a symbol. Altogether, this word again is a symbol. Also, we have images of symbols. We have the American flag, which is a symbol of freedom, and each item on the flag stands for a different thing. We have the red, the white, the blue, and someone is this image is of basically discussing or pointing to the cultural, or sorry, the consumerist part of American culture, of all these different icons. We have the Gap, IBM, Disney, GM, Coca-Cola, ABC, McDonald's, which has become not just an American culture, but a world part of world culture, a world icon. But all of these icons are symbols of companies that influence America. We won't go into politics here, but so that's just one way of perceiving the symbol. The American flag is a very powerful symbol in America for the American people, as portrayed by this flag raising at Iwo Jima. These World War II veterans raising the flag and showing that, we're still here, we're alive, we're fighting, we're well, and we'll come out on top. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, we also have different aspects of culture, different subcultures within culture. We have geek culture, which is conveyed by these Superman, Batman symbols, and also Star Trek. This one gives me a little tingle. I can't wait for this movie to come out. 2015, that'll be fun. Love the Dark Knight series. I really enjoyed Man of Steel as well. So this is a symbol that can strike excitement into the hearts of die-hard fans. Not that I'm a die-hard fan, but anyway. And this also is a symbol of Star Trek, another symbol of our culture that represent heroes within our culture. Now, heroes are persons, past or present, real or fictitious, who have certain characteristics that are highly prized by a culture. And these heroes also serve as models of behavior. We tell stories about them. Our stories are about heroes or anti-heroes who possess characteristics that we want to emulate or that we may not want to emulate. And we can find these in the text that we'll be reading for the semester. In literature, that's where we discuss these heroes or anti-heroes that convey certain cultural values. Now, some of these heroes we have the Founding Fathers, represented here by George Washington, that we see every day on our money. If you carry money around, mine's a little plastic card I have in my pocket. Don't see the green stuff very often. but we put them on our money because they represent values that we espouse in America. We also have our war veterans that we value highly, and that we look to as heroes. We listen to their stories and and try to model our lives after the things they represent and the things that they fought for. And then here we have superheroes, Batman, Superman again, and I guess the Star Trek crew could be considered heroes, going out to boldly go where no one has gone before, espousing the ideals of here for Star Trek, espousing the ideals of exploring new ideas, discovering new things. That's kind of one thing we're about in America. And also Superman espousing the ideas of, fighting for the underdog. Batman espousing the idea of justice. So we have these heroes, and often we create rituals around these heroes. We participate in rituals, which are collective activities that we participate in order to reinforce the values and the ideas that are important in our culture. Now we have certain rituals, they can be ceremonies, things like a democratic convention, or a political convention where people that espouse the same ideas come together to discuss a candidate, to discuss ideas, things like that, to connect with other like-minded people. Then we have inauguration ceremony, where we obviously inaugurate a new president and give him the authority, the right to lead the country. And then we have congressional ceremonies, this session of Congress where it's based on certain rituals of discussion and decorum, where laws are made and discussed. And we also have different rituals where we honor those who have gone to war for us. We salute them, show honor and respect. That's what the salute shows. We give them awards, which shows that we honor the things that they've done for us in special ceremonies. We have the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is a ceremony, a ritual carried out repeatedly every day, where people come to honor those who have fallen for the values of our country. We also, in terms of geek culture, we have things like Comic-Con, where groups of like-minded people again come together to talk about things that get them excited, to talk about superhero characters, to talk about science fiction stories, and these stories again that talk about the heroes again, and the symbols that hold this community together. So we have Comic-Con. We also go to movies. That's a ritual where we come and sit together and watch these stories on the screen, and we laugh and we cry together, and this binds us together as a community and with these certain values. We have again here the Vulcan salute, live long and prosper, that spills over into different aspects of our culture, different shows, different we have here into the political realm with Barack Obama, with one of the original cast members of the original Star Trek. So these rituals, they spill over into other aspects of our lives, and they bind us together, and they reinforce the values of our community, which is this next step here is the values. Now we often go to great lengths to elaborate on the values, to make them the values of our communities, to make them clear. The core values of a person's culture, of our cultures. Now this one here, this word map, is for a bank, I believe, a credit union. These are the values they want to espouse: integrity, teamwork, members, service, responsibility. And then we have this other one, again, going to elaborate lengths. This high school, to espouse the values of the high school, because these values are the central things in every culture. They are what inform the practices of every culture, and the practices span through the rituals, the heroes, the symbols. That they're what bind everything together, and they are only to be understood by those who are within the culture, and to interpret it by them, which is what we're doing in this course. We're interpreting the stories that we've been given as part of our culture that talk about different characters who either espouse or they espouse the values of our culture, or they don't espouse the values of our culture, and they come into conflict, and they inform the identities of the characters, things like that. So this is just one view of culture, from symbols down to values, values that permeate everything that we do. They inform our lives, they inform authors' lives and the characters within the stories that authors write.